everyone, and welcome back. It took us a little while because we had some kind of a sleepy guest, I guess. I don't know. Credit goes to Lilith, who came to the rescue and got our guest in. Anyway, so welcome, Lilith. Thanks.
Thank you. You know, if I didn't know any better, I might say that a benevolent God arranged that last year Neil would be so kind as to drive me to a Canadian Atheist event so that I would have his phone number to call him today.
It could also be the devil, because while we were waiting, you were torturing me by eating a large piece of chocolate cake. I have no cake at all.
It's a little less large now.
So, yeah. See.
Oh, jeez.
So, but for today, our guest is Neil. So, Neil, welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
How are you doing?
Pretty good. I was tired, apparently. But I'm over that now, and I've already cracked a beer, so we're well on the way.
Okay, great. So, I think this is long overdue. I think we talked about doing a show, what, two and a half years ago, somewhere in the.
Yeah, I think so. That's when we first mentioned it.
Yeah. So I prefer shows with theists because I prefer to argue, because I'm just.
Because you like to mess with them.
Maybe I'm a little bit of an asshole at times. I don't know. But
no, come on, Peter.
No. So we have to do a few more shows, because there are a couple of people that we like to talk to. It's not just me. It's Lilith, Robert, and Artie. We've got a couple of people that we really want to talk to. So we're going to do a few more of the Herding Cats shows than we did last year. Lilith came up with an entirely new thing, because we're also going to have topical shows, and we already have a few ideas for that. But since it's Lilith's idea, the first one's going to be Lilith and Robert, and that's going to be sometime soon. So
absolutely,
that's our messages out of the way. There's one thing I do want to mention. One of our first fans of the channel, Beej Price, is struggling. Her 18-year-old computer is dying, and people are running a GoFundMe for her to get a decent computer again. Link is down there in the description. Christy Santiago is running that for her. So if you could donate and help Beej out, because Beej has done an awful lot for people on YouTube. She's been setting up shows, getting people guests. It's a thing that not a lot of people know. And she's done that for our show as well. She was literally our first moderator, our first chat moderator. So everyone who's able to help her out, that would be great. Neil, so talk a little bit about yourself. So what have you been doing? Why are you on YouTube and Twitter as Neil the 604 Atheist?
I decided after watching multiple videos done by other people that I had shit I wanted to say too, or stuff that I wanted to do for the community, and I decided to start up a channel where I talk to people about their deconversion stories. So that's what I decided to do. I already had another channel, which is a gaming channel, but I hadn't really been active on it for quite some time, and until recently, again, I started uploading there again as well. But I just wanted to you guys are familiar with Eric Murphy, correct? So
yeah.
I called into their show some years ago now, a couple of years ago now, and told them the story about me wanting to donate a kidney to save a friend of mine's life. So they always had this guy that would call into the show named Hamish or something like that, where he would say that atheists have no morals. So I said, actually, yeah, many of us do. So, and I called into the show to sort of raise that point. Ultimately, I wasn't able to donate the kidney due to a couple of issues. But the guy that was looking for it ended up getting one, which is cool.
Yeah.
He's a very good friend of mine. And I just thought, like, they told me that I had a minor kidney stone in one side, like a small one, and the other side had a drainage issue up top of the kidney. And I said, well, we could take one of them. You could probably get the stone out of there. It's pretty easy to do, right? If it's that small, then get rid of it and give them one. And they said, well, it could put your life at risk. I said, really? Well, you guys are professionals. I trust what you can do. So I'm sure you'll make it happen if we need to. And I tried to appeal the surgeon board, but they kind of said no again. So, but they thought it was rather bizarre that somebody was willing to risk their life for somebody else. But I guess that's just the way I was raised.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and so they do take precautions because what I know is that they will take a kidney from you and then implant it in the person who needs one. But they keep their kidneys. So, and if there's going to be another kidney failure, they have to keep implanting new kidneys while the other ones are still there as well.
Right.
So I'm a little bit familiar with the thing because we had a guy here in Holland who started a broadcasting network after being really popular. He was the size of a 10-year-old boy, and he looked like a 10-year-old boy, but was suffering with kidney failure, and he passed away way too soon after having several kidneys donated. So there's a lot that goes into that, and yes, and I do remember Hamish. He was a frequent caller. I don't think that he's allowed to call back in anymore, if I'm entirely correct, but.
They haven't. At least I don't know if he's not allowed to, but he hasn't called in quite some time.
No,
Maybe I shut him up.
In fairness, there's only so many times you can call in, be an asshole, say the same stupid shit, and get through. At some point, they're just like, oh no.
Yeah, the problem with Hamish was that he wasn't up for a conversation. He just wanted to spout whatever he wanted to spout, and there was no real back and forth. There was no real.
An angry Christian spewing gibberish in a rage and hanging up. I've never encountered such a thing before. No. Have you, Neil?
Well, not personally, but I've seen it. Nobody calls me up to spout shit. Well, I got email. Wow. Since I started putting my email in my description box, I've been getting a few.
Oh, do you have, how many hell emails do you have? You should have a folder. This is for the hell threats.
No, they've mostly been, you should come into our channel and debate, or shit about morals and stuff like that. So nothing really. I just delete them. I just like, no thanks, not interested. Click.
Yeah, actually, it's funny. My friend Renee just retweeted Answers in Genesis. Apparently, they have a new article on how we should talk to atheists. Because there's nothing we like better than fundamentalist science and reality denying creationists trying to convert us. That's just so fun. Yeah, and it was fun to read the responses. Most of them were some version of don't, or maybe honestly, you could try that, or listening, you could do a little bit of that. That would be good. Nice thing.
They don't know how to do that. They don't know how to do that.
I suppose it's just a fantasy, right?
Suddenly, I feel like breaking out into the Aldo Nova song.
Well, it is funny because we also have the email in the description box, and I rarely get an email from a theist. Surprisingly enough, I did. So when I went on Twitter. I used to tell people, if I can help out one single person, or maybe change one person's life for the good, that'll be me being paid in full. And for now, I've had several, and I've had some really heartbreaking stories being thrown my way. So there is a good reason to do stuff like this, and I'm really convinced that what we need is not one huge channel where people go to, but we need different channels, because we've got different people, and different people need different approaches. For one, a show like ours, where we talk to theists and try to debunk some pseudoscience that the creationists are throwing out there, will help. For others, a channel like yours, Neil, would be a lot better to hear what people have been going through during their deconversion, the stuff that happens, and how they got to their deconversion. So what we need is an actual community of different channels tackling the pretty much the same topic, but in different ways, with a different background, different point of view. I think that's really needed.
I agree.
And so, but what was your reasoning to go to deconversion stories only?
Well, I needed something to start with, and deconversion stories have always kind of fascinated me, like the way people find their way out of religion. I'm always curious as to what that first stumbling block might have been. Like, was it something that you read in some scripture or somewhere, or was it something that somebody, like a pastor or a minister or a rabbi or something, said to you that just didn't gel with your brain matter? So I've always been curious to know how people first get that inkling of doubt, and what led them down the path from that point on. And there's been quite a few interesting stories, and quite a few heartbreaking ones too, because a lot of the time when people leave their faith, their family are still quite into it, and they end up getting like disowned or disavow or whatever, like, I can't, the actual word isn't coming to my mind at the moment, but or shunned is
counseled, shunned, either one can work.
Yeah.
Depending on the circumstance. But sorry, please continue.
Yeah, but it's stuff like that just makes me think, well, shit, why would you want to be a part of a belief system that has some fucking deity that wants you to choose him over your own flesh and blood, your own family, and or whatever your family might be, because it's not always flesh and blood. But and that just rubs me the wrong way. So I wanted to start talking to people about this, so that in case there were other people out there that were going through something similar, and they could hear some of these stories and realize that they're not the only one, that there's actually a community of people out there that have their back when they need it. And that's probably one of the main reasons I started doing it, because I wanted to have my voice in there with everyone else's, because I was pretty amazed and proud of what everyone else is doing too. So I wanted to get
you initially wanted to reach out to other atheists or doubters with the deconversion stories, so that, if I'm correct.
Well, yeah, I mean, those are the people that did deconvert, right? I'm not going to be talking to a theist about deconversions, because they're still theists. So
I watched some deconversion stories, which was part of my deconversion, but technically I was a Christian when I started. So
sure, yeah,
But
you hadn't deconverted at that point. You were just
exactly
hearing stories about it, right? So,
but it did help. But I think you're right. A lot of people can end up in a really rough spot.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've heard some pretty shitty stories that have happened to people, and like I mentioned earlier with Eric's story there, when we were talking about his story, him and I pretty much were like welling up and tearing up, because because of some of the shit that he had to go through. And then we realized that we had somewhat similar stories to begin with, because both of us were adoptees, right? So
yeah, and so I also think that is for some people, it is good to be finally to be heard. If they're in a situation where they're shunned and have no place to go to, they pretty much want to be heard. They want to be treated as people again. And I think that's where a channel like yours can be very useful, because you can broadcast their story for them. They can get some kind of acknowledgement in what they did, and whether or not that was the correct way to go, because it, for some people, it is life changing.
Certainly,
it is absolutely.
They're going to lose their entire social life at times, lose family members, and that's something that I still think that you shouldn't have to be going through, just because you can no longer believe what everyone else believes, and the fact that people are that adamant to bring you back into the fold, because now you're, for some reason, you're wrong, and you're possessed by the devil. One of the things that I've heard,
or something.
Yeah, but it breaks my heart. One of the things, and I've told this many times, one of the things that will stick to me is the 17-year-old girl who came to me and said she was an atheist, but she was in a really fundamentalist town at the time. So there was a lot of social pressure on her to convert to Christianity and to a fundamentalist flavor of Christianity, and she was terrified by that, and getting her the help she needed, with help of someone that was a follower of mine back then on Twitter, because I didn't think it was appropriate for a 50-some-odd guy to help out a 17-year-old girl with no supervision whatsoever. So I found a woman who wanted to help me out, and basically was in on every conversation that I had with her, and they ended up figuring out that they're living in the same town. So
that's convenient.
Yeah, she pretty much adopted her in her group of friends. They took her along skateboard riding, stuff like that, just to have some kind of a social life. And then she went off to college, and
college is always good.
Yeah, and she did find her own help before she went there. She already had a therapist there that could help her with the problems that she was struggling with, and so I think
religious trauma therapist, or
kind of. What she was going through some other problems because of the peer pressure as well, and then she was referred to a therapist who basically said, well, you need Jesus, because then it's all going to go away. And so she literally ran from that office and was afraid to go find new help, because that is the problem. The fact that she ran away is good, but now she's left with the fear, if I go to another therapist, do I need to go through the same thing? And so that's where we got her in touch with the Secular Therapy Project, and she did her own work from there, found a therapist near where she lived, and then found a second therapist near the college that she was going to. So she already had all of that set up before she even went to college. And
excellent.
Yeah.
You mentioned religious trauma, and I know Dr. Marlene Winnell has written several articles on religious trauma syndrome. Unfortunately, it's very difficult to get that accepted in the mainstream, when, especially in America, where there are so many Christian everything. But even here in Canada, I've tried to discuss these things, and I've had therapists say, religion can be really good for people, and I'm like, I should not scream fuck off. I should not scream fuck off. Like, just, no. No, 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 no,
No.
no. I have been on the other side. It's the help they give is only halfway out of the pit they put you in the first place. So shut up. But I was just a little annoyed by that. I mean, there have been humorous ways to look at being stuck in these situations. I know one of the movies I enjoyed actually was Saved, which was set in one of these ridiculous Christian schools. And there were, a small group of outcasts, and one of the girls was technically Jewish, but she would just find Jesus to, whenever she needed to go on a field trip or something. And then she'd get over it.
Is she one of them Jews for Jesus types?
No, God, no. She thought it was all. She was an atheist. She thought it was all BS. This was just a character. But if she'd go, tell me about Jesus, and then she'd get saved, and then
oh, fuck's sakes.
Get over it 5 minutes later. Just so she could go on the field trip or whatever. Which it was presented in a comical way, but at the same time, oh dear, that's the reality for some people, and it's a little soul crushing. A lot, actually.
Yeah.
But I was going to ask for your story, for those who don't know it, a little bit about how belief and unbelief became so important in your life. I know you've always had a philanthropic streak with your blood donation and trying to catch up with your dad on that one, which is really amazing, and kudos to you on that.
I got a long ways to go before I get to my dad. I'll be long gone before I even get close to those numbers. But as a group, we've already broken the number.
Oh, good. Well, It sounds like my dad. I'm only doing the work of 5 other people. This isn't good enough.
Well, I started that Partners for Life groups, and it was able to get like almost 200 people in the first year, and we did 681 donations in the first year, which was more than his 532 lifetime. So, and they said I couldn't do it. They said it's never been done in Canadian history. Not a single person started group has ever done anything close to that. They were trying to tell me I should try for 50, and I'm like, well, you can write that down, but I'm telling you, you ain't dealt with someone like me yet. So, and of course, I got the message out there and managed to. We did it. We broke it by 1,240%. My initial pledge, not my dad's donations. So
yeah, no, that's amazing. Absolutely.
Yeah, it was awesome. I was pretty proud of that moment.
You should be. That's an amazing thing, and I mean, it saves a lot of lives. There are some things social media is really great for. There are some things that sucks on, but this is definitely one of those ways that it really enables people to get
social
together.
Media can be used as a tool for both, right? It can be used as a tool for good, and it can be used as a tool for bad, meaning shit like misinformation, which we see a lot of nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
But it's the being able to figure out how to use the internet for finding out truth and reality. It takes a bit to learn how to do that. You got to find the sites that are trustworthy, noteworthy, and then stick with them, right? So, and of course, everyone will say, well, how do you know that one's the truth? Well, it's whichever one is in concordance with reality. That's the one that you go with.
I love Aaron Ra's definitions. He is excellent at providing concise, clear definitions of words that don't allow for the kind of wiggle room to get you over to this nonsense that is nonsense, but they're trying to drag you over bit by bit.
Yeah, he says they still try. They still try to do it.
Oh, of course they do. They have no other game plan except shift the goalpost. But at least he has a clear line, and he's like, no, that was the line. You stepped over the line. No. So.
Absolutely. But my deconversion in and of itself, well, I was born to 2 different denominations of Christian parents when I was, born. And I was conceived in the back of a 57 Chevy, so that's pretty cool. But anyway, they were too young. My birth father's mother was a staunch Catholic. So having a child outside of wedlock was a big no-no. So my gran was everyone was scared of her. So they didn't want to. They didn't even tell her about me at all until she didn't even know about me until I met her. pretty much. So.
Oh wow! Not anger the great and powerful grandmother.
Exactly, and so I was put up for adoption, and I was adopted by a Jewish couple. So, I guess that was part of God's plan. Let's confuse the fuck out of this guy and put him in two different religious type backgrounds.
So wait. Your mother was Protestant, your father's Catholic, your adopted parents are Jewish. I'm just wondering why he didn't get Muslim in there too, and maybe some Hindu and Buddhist.
Jane, who knows?
Jane.
Who knows? But yeah, so I was raised Jewish, had the bar mitzvah, all that stuff. But I remember being a kid and asking a lot of questions. I asked so many questions during Hebrew school, as they put it back in the day, that I was kicked out in the hallway a few times. Go take a break, Neil. Like, a giant? Really? David beat up a giant with a sling? Wait a second, this doesn't sound right. How big is a giant? And nobody knew. So, but later on, I was told that he was probably something like over 6 feet, so he was considered to be a giant. But I'm like, yeah, backpedal now, why don't you? And I couldn't swallow the Noah story, because I just, like, there's no fucking way the whole planet flooded. There's no way. And so I had doubts even as a kid, but yet at the same time, whenever it was convenient, I would talk to God and say, hey, listen, I kind of need something, so can you help me out, kind of thing. And it never fucking worked out. So prayer seemed to be a bust, and I was getting caught doing bad shit as a kid. So my folks sent me to Israel, and I lived there for 2 years. And while I was over there, met a lot of Israelis in there, and a lot of them were Jewish, but very, very secularish. Not too. I say majority of the country there isn't really religious. They just are traditionalists, traditional secular Jews. So eventually, I just was like, this is crap. Then by the time I came back from Israel, and I lived here for a little while, and I got into a group of people that were into stuff like the paganism and the Wicca and all that stuff. So I got into that. Even tried making some spells, and nothing ever fucking worked. So probably by my mid-30s, I was like, fuck this shit, I'm an atheist.
Excellent.
Yeah. Well, one thing stuck.
No, I just want to ask one question, because I've been listening to George Carlin again. He talked about, the efficacy of prayer. And did you ever ask God for help getting laid when you were a kid?
No.
I mean, not a kid, but,
a late age and up.
Yes. An appropriate but absurdly young for me to just, 18 and older.
No, I never did. Funny enough, even though I wasn't like the best looking kid, I didn't really have too many problems having a girlfriend in my life or something at the time. So
okay, cool.
But I was always nervous trying to make that first move,
yeah.
Reaching over for a boob grab or something, and I was like butterflies, and
I think that's the thing that most men will have. But so one thing from the Bible did stick with you, didn't it?
What's that?
Well, so Lilith has to help me out with the character, but who was it that got their strength from their hair?
Oh, Samson.
Yeah. See?
Oh, yeah.
That stuck.
Yeah. Mikey Neal will
I kind of
with his massive hair.
Yeah, it's all my hair. Yeah. He was actually one of my favorite characters from the stories.
See?
And there may be on a subconscious level that I wanted to grow my hair because of that story, but I think it was more because all of my friends at the time were in bands, and we were like long-haired, little shitheads running around and smoking and riding our BMXs and running up people's driveways and smashing their garage doors with our rear tire and then pedaling off and being little assholes, basically. So yeah, I was a dick kid. That's why I got shipped to Israel.
I'm guessing they weren't intending to send you to make you less religious, though.
No, there wasn't really anything. It turns out, I found out later on that where I was sent was considered a boarding school in Israel.
Ah.
So it was to straighten me out. And I had military training over there, and, got to do I drove a tank, which was kind of cool.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That would be.
Yeah, it was pretty cool because my staff sergeant, her name was Galit, and she kind of took a shine into me, so we did it in the tank, which is pretty cool. Yeah. I'm like, no, nobody's gonna believe me. Hang on, I'm gonna jump out. I'm gonna take a picture of the tank because it was parked up on this little ridge. Hold it up there. I said, now aim the gun at the camera. So she aims the gun at the camera, and like an idiot, I forgot to tell her to stand up outside of the tank. I just took the picture, like, yoo, and then went back in there, and then I, not even until years later, I thought, fuck, I should have had her stick her head out of the fucking tank. But yeah, oh well. I just got a picture of the tank pointing at me.
Well, you're still here.
Yeah. Half clothed, jumping out of a tank, taking a picture of it.
That is such a guy thing to do.
Well,
this is where I got some.
Yeah. So what?
Yeah, there you go. That's a scrapbooking job for you to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was in the army, so we have when I grew up, we had a mandatory 14 months that you had to serve, and I was in a medical unit, so we had ambulances, beds in the back. It helps if they then at that time they started bringing in women into the military, so yeah, a lot of ambulances were repurposed for other things.
Yeah, at least you had a comfy bed in there, or a gurney, or whatever the hell.
Yeah. So,
eat, drink, and be merry. Tomorrow we die.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to change the sheets.
Yeah. It does work. So.
Oh God! You can imagine having to pick up someone with an open wound. I'm a terrible person.
Ah, shush! It's good for you. You'll be all right.
Is that right up there with rub some dirt on it?
Something along those lines.
Yeah. So, but you had long hair for a long time then, even growing up.
No, my mom used to like to. Back in the 70s, it was quite popular to have the bowl cut type thing. So I had one of those when I was a kid.
Oh.
But as soon as I was on my own, I started letting it go. So even when I went to Israel, it started getting long too. But when I got home, my mom was like, She cut it. I'm like, fuck, I'm still under your roof, damn it. I guess I have to do this. But once I was out of the parents' care, I just grew it out. And then
never show scissors, touch this again.
Well, I did shave my head twice to donate the hair for cancer patients.
Of course you did.
Right. So I did that twice. So.
You are now my favorite just example of if they're like, there are no charitable atheists. I'm like, excuse me, bitch.
Yeah, I really don't want to be anyone's poster child. I don't do this for recognition. The only reason I tell people is to try and inspire them to do stuff like it.
I've dyed my hair. I'm not allowed to cut it for Locks of Love. So.
I know. Oh, that's what it was. Locks of Love. Thank you. I couldn't remember the fucking name.
Oh, no problem. I think there's a couple of them though. I think it's a bit like.
That's the one that I did for twice. Because they've been around since like '88 or something.
Oh yeah. They're one of the oldest that have been doing the long hair thing, and so.
Yeah.
Well,
it was done, and
I don't know. I don't know how it's for you, Neil, but I grew my hair later in life. I used to be a salesman, so I had to be clean cut, tie, everything.
I hear you.
And
I can't imagine that.
Yeah, so
I think I own one tie, and I've worn it twice, a wedding twice. About it.
I saved one. I threw everything out. I threw the suits out. I threw everything out because I was a salesman in the clothing company, and they're even more particular in appearance. You have to have the latest stuff, the latest fashion, latest colors.
Of course.
And that just wasn't my thing. It never worked. But what I found out is when I grew my hair, people treated me differently. I they're a lot more open. People come up to me to just have a chat. Before that never happened, and have no clue.
It's weird, right?
Yeah, you should expect that people would say, "Hey, this is the guy with the long hair. I don't want anything to do with that because that's probably just someone who does drugs and who does this and does that." And it's the opposite.
I do. But not in anything like crack or heroin or anything like that.
It's legal in Canada. Does that even
cool.
count anymore? I don't know.
Well,
but I did have one.
It's legal. Ahead. It's legal here. I've tried it twice. The first time nothing happened, and the second time I was sick as a dog. So it's not working for me. It's I tried it.
Not for everyone.
Not working.
You may be allergic. I've heard that reaction. That's a reaction people have when they're allergic to marijuana. They have the throwing up and stuff like that. So.
Ooh, nasty.
It could be, but so there was nothing that I got out of it. There was nothing that I felt better before I got sick. It could also be the amount that was put into the blunt that I was smoking because I didn't make that myself. But
I wonder if it was laced with something.
No, so it was someone I knew, so I knew that I could trust him. He
would have told you otherwise.
He might have pulled a prank and put in a little bit more than usual for a first timer, or even the second time. But
bastard.
It just didn't work for me. And same with alcohol. I rarely drink alcohol, so that doesn't work for me either. But I grew up in my father was an alcohol wholesale business, so I was allowed to try everything.
Yeah.
And the problem is when you grow up, the things that you're allowed to do are no fun. I wasn't allowed.
Right.
I wasn't allowed to smoke, so I'm now I'm upcoming to my 60s, and I still smoke because I can't kick that.
Guilty.
That's what's interesting. I mean, if something isn't allowed, that's what you're going to do, and I think that's, for me, it just doesn't work.
It's like they tell you, "Oh, you're not allowed to do this." You don't tell me what I can and can't do.
Yeah, because now it's going to be fun for me to do that and see if I can get away with it.
And dangerous.
Yeah.
It makes me think of Colonel Ingersoll. And he said, he would talk about the whole Adam and Eve story, and he's like, I would have had that tree stripped in 5 minutes. Like, I'm not lying. It's like God apparently made humans without any understanding of their character or nature whatsoever.
Hey guys, this is the sound of freedom.
It's different. It's different in Holland, Neil. In Holland, it sounds like this.
Oh yeah, the Grolsch model, right? Of course.
So
actually, I think Grolsch is good stuff. Actually, I don't mind it.
It is a little bit different here, but we're different in a lot of ways. So I want to get back to the whole social media thing. So what would be a thing that you haven't done yet, but maybe would want to try in the future?
Social media wise?
Yes.
I don't really care for Instagram. I mean, I'm on it, but I don't really do anything with it. I just occasionally, if one of my relatives or my sister puts something up there, I'll check it out. And now there's this TikTok thing. I don't know, what is it? Like a little new kind of quick video format. It's like it's like the old Vimeo or the Vines that they have.
Vine, it's a little longer than Vine, but it seems to be mostly the new Vine.
What I actually meant is you're doing the deconversion stories now. Is there anything? Is there anything else that you said? Well, maybe in time I'm going to give that a shot. I want to do something.
I was always really interested in, and I've become friends with them since then. Anthony Magnabosco with his street epistemology, and. And that kind of thing. And I often thought that that'd be kind of a neat show where you talk to a theist about what they believe. But I would do it the similar way that I do the deconversion stories, where I'd have them on with me. But I think I'm going to end up doing that with, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Godless Mom or Courtney Hurd, the real name. Yeah. We've been talking about starting a show in that vein at some point. So that one might be coming down the pike pretty soon. And also I'll be doing a call-in show very similar to like the Truth Wanted's, Talk Heathens, and Atheist Experience type ones with my good friend Randolph Richardson, who you've met both.
I have, yes. It was his event, actually, that I guess Satan sent me to so that I could go. Well, yes, no, it was yours. And
Canadian Atheists and Atheist Republic teamed up on that one.
Yes, you did. But yeah, that we went to, what was it, October?
Yeah, somewhere around there. No.
Yeah. No, wait. Yeah, no.
It was earlier in October. I'm pretty sure it might have been September that we did.
Might have been September, yeah. Yep.
Midway
it was back when we were allowed to travel and nobody was like, oh, we're gonna die.
Yeah. So yeah, those are some of the ones that I have planned. And I may add, I might change, like I'll still do the deconversion stories, but I might lessen the number of them during the week and then do something else at some point as well. I just haven't quite put my finger on what I want to tackle yet. So, but I'm really enjoying doing the deconversion stories. It's a great way for me to get to meet a lot of the people that I have communicated with via social media that are in the atheist community, like Lilith here, and now like you, Peter. And hopefully at some point you'll visit my show too. And we may not, I mean, if I remember what you said correctly, you don't really have a deconversion story, but
no. But
we can talk about.
We have it set up for May, so
yeah, and we'll talk about like religious influences in our lives and stuff like that. People trying to possibly get you involved and that kind of thing, which is also interesting. And then we can all, and of course we'll be talking about your show. Of course, I always like to talk about what people also do for their activism, so to speak, on YouTube or Twitter or whatever it might be.
Yeah. Well, I'm really looking forward to doing that.
Yeah, it should be fun, dude.
Yeah. So I always like to talk. So I'm like Matt Dillahunty. I need to talk. There needs to be a time where I can talk, and so
yeah.
I don't know why he has me on so often with the crazy Christians, because he just lets me like rail at them with all the Bible verses I've memorized, which is like half of them, and and he vanishes into the ether. Well, I'm like, well, what about this verse and this verse? And what about the comparison with Corinthians and blah, 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 blah. Sorry, but, if I was going to be the person with board quiz, I'm going to use that now.
I like to remind them that their God invented evil. Was it Isaiah 45:7?
Yep.
I created calamity, and I created evil, and I created all that shit.
The light and the darkness, I, the Lord, have done this thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of blows their minds. I don't think they ever get told about that line unless they actually read the thing for themselves.
They don't. Although I do have to wonder, I'm sure some of the later translations have tried to soften that, because it does literally say, I
King James it
create evil.
Yep, in King James it does.
Evil.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there are some later translations that, shall we say, try to soften the implication.
There are quite a few different varieties of it.
That's why I have my concordance.
Well, I have met those who will just say it doesn't say that, and then you point them to the verse, read out the verse, and they still say it doesn't say that. Or
you're taking it out of context. Like, I create evil. I don't know how you can take that out of context.
I'm the Lord.
I don't know, Neil. Have you heard of a guy who's roaming social media called Jesus is Lord?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so I'm going to have Lilith in the picture for this, because he doesn't want to talk to Lilith because she's a woman. He can't talk to a woman out of respect for his own wife. I have no clue what's going to happen.
I'm going to seduce or possibly force myself upon his repulsive, ignorant ass over an internet connection.
Yeah,
which
so
is possible.
So
totally.
the first thought that comes to mind if I hear stuff like that is that obviously you cannot control yourself, so now you need to make Lilith the problem, when in fact it is you. Because apparently you've got a wife and that relationship isn't quite as it should be, so you can't talk or look at another woman without developing certain thoughts.
It's just an excuse, though. It's
the
type of men who think that men should be the leader and the ruler of the household, and they have this superiority complex, and they can't risk
It's called misogyny.
Yeah, exactly. But they can't. The ones who genuinely want to imagine themselves superior can't risk interacting with any woman who isn't likely to leave that particular delusion intact. So.
I think what it boils down to is insecurity, because I don't think that they can lead, and they're literally afraid of women who are stronger, women who know what they're talking about, can speak up, and do speak up. And I think that's the biggest problem. But the reason why I mention him is I was on his show, and then I don't remember the verse, and I said, well, this is what it says, and he says it doesn't. So I went on Bible Hub, pulled up the verse, and read it out to him, and got muted because I was reading it out, because obviously his viewers can't hear that that's in the Bible. We don't want to spread these wicked atheist lies about what's in the Bible.
About reading the actual fucking text.
Yes,
and
that's
we wrote the Bible or something.
I remember Matt Delahunty talking about he was speaking to one of these conservative Christian churches, and they invited him into debate, and he's talking about how God hardened Pharaoh's heart. They're like, well, no, it doesn't say that. God hardened Pharaoh's heart. Well, what if you read it in the right context, what it means is that God hardened Pharaoh's heart. Like, it's right
like,
there.
Kind of a dick. He was good. He's like, okay, get him out of here. Take him, go. And then God went, no, let's harden his heart so he keeps him. Like, what the fuck? He just achieved his goal and then re-hardened the guy. Whatever.
Well, apparently
it's a dick.
Apparently God's goal is kind of like Donald Trump's. It doesn't actually matter if he's effective. It just matters that people praise him for being effective and that he gets to show off a great deal.
Yeah, something like that. That's what it is like he's showing off.
But the problem is if you read it back to them, and I put up a screen share and I put up the verse, and then I got booted from the stream because now muting didn't work, so he had to boot me from the stream.
Naughty Peter.
He still brings me back every single time. But if you're going to do that to me, then the asshole in me will pop up, and I will throw as much out there as I can just to annoy you. If you can deal with your own holy book, that's not my problem.
Right.
And so that's.
I found them with verses that they pretended to have addressed, but they had really addressed a completely different verse, or just made shit up. They're like, you weren't here, you don't know, we already addressed that. I'm like, no, you didn't. So they just removed all my comments.
Oh, wonderful.
Because, which was literally just a Bible.
They want to live in an echo chamber, right? Of course, a lot of people accuse us of being in an echo chamber too, right? But sometimes
we couldn't be if we wanted to.
Oh no, we can.
Well, okay, yeah.
Absolutely, we can.
Yeah, I've seen that happen here as well.
Multiple
just
times.
Just to be fair, people who don't want to talk to theists and just want to have their own little group, and that's not working for me.
Fair enough, but there's still a lot of pro-Christian media in the world.
There is.
Oh yeah,
there is.
Hard to avoid.
Yeah.
And the paranoia and delusion is...
That's why I encourage people to do stuff like this. Have their own shows, their own channels, and talk about this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it gets out there more.
Yep.
Yeah.
I fully agree. And so one of the things I like to end a show with a theist on at least a friendly note. It's not always working. And we've got a few guests in the pipeline where it definitely won't work. Because teaming up Lilith with God's wife is going to be a dumpster fire, and then the same guy also gets to be teamed up with Robert, which also is not going to be pretty.
Robert will obliterate him, but let's be fair. I don't think it's going to be so much a dumpster fire as sharpshooting.
Yeah,
even if it is in a barrel.
The guy is annoying and is going out of his way to annoy people. I blocked him on Twitter. I'm not sure if I'm going to unblock him, maybe just to have him on the show for brief periods of time. But if I tell you not to do something and then you start just doing only that,
like smoking?
No. So what he wants to do is he wants to tag in a ton of people, and I usually already hate threads where there are 40, 50 people in there. And if you're going to tag me into a thread like that, and I've asked you not to do that, then the only way to deal with that is to just block you, because now you're just being an asshole and you're not here to have a conversation. And he also doesn't answer any questions. So
but then it's just his poor righteous self that has been discarded so cruelly.
That's why he has 1,500 court cases against him, most of which are restraining orders, because he's just being a dick. He's not only being a dick online, he's also being a dick in real life, being a dick to his former wife and children, for one.
Wow, really?
So,
what a shit stain.
We do talk to some Christians that are fundamentally decent people.
I know a bunch that are fine,
but yeah, there are also full-on nut jobs.
Oh yeah,
totally.
Well, I mentioned a few days ago when you were on, I think you were on MathBake's channel, Neil. I mentioned that I had a talk with Craig Reed, which I thought was going to be a dumpster fire, and we did end up on a friendly note, which I didn't expect, and I didn't go out. So I was fine with having the dumpster fire, because we were fighting on Twitter, and it already was terrible at that time. I was surprised that he even was
on Twitter?
willing.
Shocker.
Yeah, he was willing to come on, but
yeah,
I do prefer those kind of talks where you can actually have a decent conversation, a decent back and forth, and maybe accomplish something. Because I'm not going to deconvert him, and I think I know the reason why. I won't say it here, but I think I know the reason why. But we still need to share a planet, so we still need to get along with each other, and if
as best we can.
If we can at least achieve that, you respect my views and I will respect yours. I won't respect the religion or the things that it does when it comes to influencing other people, when it comes to making legislation, for instance. I'm not going to respect that. I'm going to respect you as a person. You can believe that if you want, as long as you're not harming anyone else with it. And I think that's what we need to do, because I don't know what it's like in Canada. I do have relatives in Alberta, which is pretty much
Canada's Texas.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
pretty much.
But there's still a lot of places in North America where atheists are viewed worse than rapists, child abusers, and even Satanists. And I think that is an image that needs to be changed. And if you're going to be if you're going to be aggressive to every single theist that you come across, I don't think that image will change. You should still be open to have a conversation. And
Absolutely.
I appreciate what Mortimer81 said when he said, if you don't want your religion to be criticized or argued about, here's what you should do. Practice it behind closed doors among consenting adults. Because what happens behind closed doors among consenting adults is none of my business.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I always like Mortimer. Yeah, he's a good guy.
He's a good guy. Yeah. I'm wondering when he'll get enough alcohol to do more on his why do people laugh at spirit science?
It's funny, Peter, because I agree with pretty much everything you said, but I don't think that ideas, which religion really is, it's just an idea, or beliefs in religion are just ideas. They don't necessarily always deserve respect. I mean,
no, that's what I meant.
Yeah, okay. No, all right, then we're good. We're good. People deserve respect, even if they have those ideas.
Yes.
You can always talk to them and maybe alter how they view those ideas, where it changes their behavior a little bit.
Yes. Well, so
my
my best friend is a Christian. We still get along, even though he's a Christian, and so he comes from Syria. So,
oh wow,
he's not fundamentalist, but he is kind of a hardcore Christian. There's no way that I could ever convince him that anything is wrong. But we do talk about religion.
Yeah.
But he knows full well that I'm not attacking him as a person, because as a person, I love him as if he were my own brother.
Sure.
There's nothing that I wouldn't do for him if push came to shove.
Right.
But the ideas and the ideas that they put into a person is what I think need to be attacked.
Yeah, I agree.
There are people who can understand that when you're having a debate, you're debating the ideas and not necessarily the person. There are people who have difficulty understanding that. Yeah. But as Penn Jillette said, love and respect all people, hate and destroy all faith.
Or bad ideologies in general.
Honestly,
because some ideologies aren't even religiously based, right? So
exactly, but anything believed on faith is believed for no reason, really.
That's why it's called faith.
Because it's not knowledge.
Yeah. It's Who said that? Was that Sagan?
Christopher Hitchens.
Hitchens.
That's how I close all my shows.
Oh, okay.
Remember, like the late great Christopher Hitchens once said, it's called faith because it's not knowledge.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, going back to your shows, I watched part of your show yesterday, and I pretty much watched the entire after show.
You were watching? You should have jumped in, Peter. What are you doing?
I was relaxing, laying down on the couch, just listening to hear you. I saw Geo Sam was in there. And so the talk that you had was with Bill Ashby.
Yes, Bill Ashby. Yeah. Good guy.
He really opened up in the after show. Yes, I think.
Yeah. Well, it was stuff that he wasn't able to get out during the interview, so that's why I let him carry on after that.
Yeah. And this is an example, and I think the after show is an example of what I said earlier, that people need to be heard. They want to tell their story, they want to share their story, and it will help them and strengthen them. I didn't know any of this about Bill, and so if people want to know what we're talking about, tough. Go to Neil's channel and go watch it. It's there. We're not going to rehash the whole thing here.
No spoilers for you.
See, but he really opened up, and so as I was listening to the after show, the thought did cross my mind. He needs to tell people this. He needs to hear what other people think about what he's doing, because he's taken on a lot. Won't you say?
Yeah. Oh yeah. You're talking about how he has to take care of his gran and stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, that's a big responsibility. And you know, I literally, I was like, if I was wearing a hat, I would have taken it off and be like, dude, respect, because he's also an ex-addict, right? Or he'll always be an addict, but usually people like that can't always necessarily handle stress levels like that, and he's so far handling it pretty damn good. So kudos to Bill for that, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so a lot of the stuff that he does must be very tough on him as well.
Oh, sure.
I mean, spending 7 hours a day on helping someone out, that is
that's a tough thing to handle.
That's a pressure. It really is.
Yeah.
Another thing, who would be a guest that you still want to have on? Maybe not ever having a chance of having on. Whoever.
There's nobody that's out of my reach, man. I look at it this way. I was able to get Richard Carrier on, and he's a tough guy to wrangle. I'm still working on Matt Dillahunty. I'm still working on Hemant Mehta. I've already had Steph Andrews on. I've had Anthony Magnabosco. I've had Aaron Ra. I'd like to get some more. I've had Vila Bianca. I've had Jenna Belk. I've had Eric and Jamie both. I've had Dan, Objectively Dan from Truth Wanted. I've had lots of people from the ACA, and those were, I really wanted to focus on the folks from the ACA at one time, because I was during that phase where I was like, man, these guys have mad respect for me and all that stuff. And when I went able to go down there and meet everybody, that's when it actually got really easy. And I still want to get Stephen Rationality Rules on and Cosmic Skeptic on. I was able to get Rachel Oates to come on. There's still people that I'm working on that are known people, but those are fun and great to have, because I get to have conversations with people that I now consider to be friends. But it's the unknown people, the stories that I find are the most heart-tugging, stringing kind of stories out there. These are just everyday folks that are struggling with their deconversion. And that's why I always put, like you mentioned earlier, secular therapy. I always put the links at the bottom for anyone who's struggling with their deconversions. These are the places you can go. And I have Marlene Winnell's Journey Free website on there, and I have secular therapy, or clergy, the clergy one. I can't remember.
The Clergy Project.
Clergy Project. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And what was the other one? Freedom from religion. Something else. Religion. Anyway.
Recovering from religion.
That's it.
That's it. There we go. I was going to say, because I think freedom from religion links to recovering from religion.
They do. They all have co-links. So any one of the ones that I put there, you can go to find the other links. No problem.
No doubt. I mean, I think people really, it's hard for someone who hasn't gone through it, especially not deconversion from a really intense belief and an intense sect in Christianity or Judaism or Islam, my God, to understand how very much it's like leaving an abusive relationship. You have to rewrite your interaction with every part of your life and the way you think
about
on
how deep you're into it.
Things. Well, yes, and that's the distinction I make. But if you really believed, especially in a fundamentalist God, therapy is needed. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. I'm not saying you can't do without, but it would really be a good idea.
Yeah, and so what I also want to add is that there's nothing wrong with seeking help. A lot of people still think that, hey, now I'm going to need a shrink, or I need to have therapy because now I'm loony. No, you're not. You have a problem, and that problem can be recognized and has to be recognized. I'm not going to go into long details. Robert will have his own channel soon, and I would urge anyone to just go over to Robert's channel, subscribe to his channel, because there's some
link us.
I will do. I don't think I have put it into the.
We can put the link in the description as soon as his first video is up, which will be very soon. I know.
Oh, there you go.
So
I've been helping with that.
We have been promoting him. We have been promoting him to get to at least to 100 subs, because he needs to claim his custom URL, because apparently Robert Reed is similar to
very popular
John
name.
Smith. Yes. There are a lot of Robert Reeds, and so we need to have our Robert Reed stick out a little.
He might as well be named John Doe.
Yeah.
It's almost that bad.
But we did manage to get him to at least over 100 subs before he has put up any content, and the problem.
And thank you to everyone who helped with that.
The problem now is the one who screwed up his first show is me. And I take full responsibility for that.
That was dropped frames. The internet is touchy right now. Everybody's at home.
But I still feel terrible about it, especially because of when it started happening. On his first recording, the moment when it starts happening is literally the moment that is, at least for Robert, one of the most important parts of that particular recording. And we chose to put it out as is. As I said, I'm going to put in a disclaimer that I screwed up the video a little. I have no clue why, and I need to figure it out for future shows to not have that happen. But I really urge people to go and watch Robert's channel, because there's going to be some powerful stuff coming from that channel.
I can second that 100%.
And it might
very
help.
Powerful story.
Yeah, it might help out a lot of people who are struggling. So just wanted to leave
And
it
it's
at
okay
that.
to struggle. Nobody blames you for having a broken leg,
No.
unless
No.
you did one of those really stupid teenage boy stunts. Then maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
You totally did those stunts.
I did. I did a lot of stupid
I don't know
stuff.
what you're talking about.
I did a lot.
Yeah, Neil's like, yeah, that's none of my business.
If we had the 5th in Canada, I'd be pleading it.
I'm pretty sure it's a meme we use up here, even if it isn't technically an amendment.
Yeah.
Well, I did a lot of stupid stuff. I never broke a leg. I never broke an arm. I broke a rib, but that was due to my dog, and it's still broken. It still sticks out. So yeah, I can gross out a few people if I would to show my chest, because there is a bulge here.
Okay, keep your shirt on there.
I'm keeping my shirt on. As a matter of fact, and I want to do this
I'll
in public.
tell your girlfriends on you.
Yeah, I want to do this in public as well,
What, are you a
because
Mormon?
Because it happened in yeah, I got two girlfriends. It's a long story. It wasn't my choice. I'm
Look at you go, Peter.
I'm out.
Just happen to fall into this situation.
Yeah. It's
Are they twins?
No, they're not. They're not twins. They worked
Okay.
at the same store, and
Oh, yeah.
the second one now has the job that the first one had.
Yeah.
She went off and do the things that she actually loves. She works in an old folks home now.
Okay.
But yeah, I met them because I need my cigarettes, and that's where I bought my cigarettes. And apparently she took a liking to me, and then later introduced me, hey, I'm already in a relationship with her. Okay.
Oh.
So that's how that happened.
And she was cool on it? Wow. Look at you.
That's-
How come that
that's-
never works for me?
I wish
if I try
this-
to do that, I'll get an envelope full of anthrax in the mail, I swear.
The problem, Neil, is I would have wanted to have this happened when I was well, let's say 2 decades younger, 3 decades younger, I think.
Yeah. But you have the energy levels to handle that. Yeah.
Exactly. And I need to go back to that because up here
do.
it's still all good.
Yeah.
And
The body goes.
This happened
The body
live.
is willing, but the flesh is weak.
This happened live on stream. Getting back to the fact that I'm going to keep my clothes on. My first birthday present is on the way. It's going to be something Neil gets me, and
I sent him something.
I'm going to wear that on the show, and I will point it out to people because that's absolutely fitting. When it comes to me, everyone who knows me will say, "Yeah, that's fitting." So
I get the same reaction with it. So
So now I have to ask because I do a lot of stuff with Scientist Mel. Scientist Mel has her own merch shop, but at times just thinks, "Hey, I would want a T-shirt like that." So I'm going to create a T-shirt, put it up on the merch shop, and order it for myself. To get my own clothing. Is that something that you might be doing?
Yeah, everyone tells me I should have a merch shop. I should sell T-shirts with my logo on it or something. I do have lots of stickers, right? So, but I don't actually have a merch shop, so to speak. And I want to start one. It's a matter of sitting down and I have no fucking idea how to do it. So I gotta sit down, and I know you can go on like Teespring or something, and I hear they're pretty good. Yeah, and it's like just type this in here, give them an image, and blah blah blah. You're set up. But I want to put some thought into it because I might want to use some of the expressions. I got to know if I'm able to do that without infringing on someone's copyrights at all. Or no, doorknob head. I'm not doing puffy shirts.
Oh, but you could have the pirate shirt. Oh,
yes. Actually, that's not a bad idea. Yar, I might.
Yeah. You see, you've got the bandana. You've got you. Come on. You would be the swashbuckler. Come on.
the swashbuckler. That's me.
So, what you mentioned you don't want to infringe on people's copyrights. What do you mean?
Well, like the expression that I use at the end of my show, I'd like to put like my logo on the front, like maybe right here, or right a big one in the center, and on the back it says, "And remember, kids, it's called faith because it's not knowledge," and put the little squiggly line, Christopher Hitchens, like. And then there's another expression I want to use too, like extraordinary claims demand extraordinary evidence, or whatever, or require extraordinary evidence, which is Carl Sagan.
Quote.
Well,
you quoted that a good deal too.
But you can have the quote on there, and the person you got it from. That I don't think that would be infringing on their rights, would it? I mean,
I checked with a copyright lawyer.
They're both dead.
Copyright lawyer, but but
there's one in my family.
Intellectual property is, I think, passed down to the family for however long the copyright lasts on these things.
25 years.
Are okay. 25 years for for quotation.
Literary, like my lyrics that I've signed up with SOCAN for all our music. 25 years.
Okay. Because I know it can be longer for some things, films, and full books, but I don't know. It's
films are 25 years too.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I was in the industry. I took low budget filmmaking and producer's workshop at Vancouver Film School. So I was going to make really bad zombie movies at one time, but that never came to fruition.
Oh, that's okay. So have you talked to Scientist Mel at all?
Oh yeah, of course.
Have you seen her zombie movie?
I have not. She's talked about it. I want to.
Okay.
It's just a matter of me getting to actually get there and do it. But I've had her on the show, and we've talked about it because I'm a hack scientist myself, so
yeah,
I know I look the part.
It was one of the things that will stick to me for as long as I live. I think she wanted to make a movie where a guy was thrown into a grave, and the grave that was then shut, and she literally built the grave in her garage, and went out into the desert where they dug a hole and did the shooting. This was all on one camera. It still came out pretty nice. It's kind of cheesy and still cool. But if you know that the grave that she made and how she made it, and that it was actually in her garage, it looks really, really cool. So I'll find you the link, and I'll shoot you the link to her channel.
That'd be cool.
She's
That'd
done
be awesome.
she's done a couple of things. So
Lilith, stop purring.
are we going to see that? Are we going to see that from you too?
She's been purring every once in a while.
I'm trying to get my cat over here. She's worried because the dog is, my roommate's dog is in his kennel because he doesn't understand personal space, and it doesn't matter if I'm filming, so now he's crying.
He's a dog. Of course he doesn't.
I know. So now he's crying, and, because he's being everlastingly tortured by having to lay on his bed with his freshly laundered blanket that I washed and dried for him.
He probably doesn't care. Probably because my blanket smells funny now.
Well, Lilith, you should
Don't forget,
watch.
a dog's smell is 25 times stronger than ours. So any detergent you put in there, he's probably going, holy crap!
Yeah. And so it
hates
works.
being picked up.
Lilith, it works for Rachel Oates. So why should it work for you? You're kind of similar dog. So
yeah, let her come up and give you kisses, or him.
Oh, him. No, my roommate's dog is a pit bull.
So
very sweet pit bull, but he's also big, and consequently, it's like no. Exactly. It's very much trying to dodge the "I'm licking you in the face because I have to force you to love me" by slobbering up your nose. Dog logic. I don't understand. But
did you just put dog and logic in the same sentence? I think that's an oxymoron.
yeah, I think so too.
less of an oxymoron than American logic.
Or military intelligence. That's my favorite.
Military intelligence. Yeah. So I think we're coming up towards the end a little.
A little.
Yeah. So do you wanna shill a little? Tell us where people can
Please
find
do.
you. Do you have Patreon?
I'm currently in my bedroom. No.
Yes, let's have the entire internet come to your bedroom.
Yeah.
You're welcome. It's not a lot of room in here. It's a small space, and I've got a lot of crap in here. So.
That's a heck of an orgy.
Oh yeah. It'd be a very tight, compact orgy. You won't even know who's got you and who you've got. So like, oh wait, no, that feels like Steve.
So wait a minute. I'm trying to have you tell people where you can find them, and the first thing you come up with is having an orgy. In your bedroom.
In my bedroom.
Yeah.
Well, it's better than the last place I tried to do it. That was a Subway. I'm not allowed on the Subway anymore.
Okay. Now we need to know. Now we need to know what happened.
Skytrain, I know these things.
I didn't actually do that.
Yeah, I know.
It's like the other joke I always use is when I lost it when my girlfriend dropped the can of peas, and now I'm not allowed in Safeway anymore. But anyway, which is a grocery store, people. Sometimes okay. Anyway, so you can find me. I am Neil the 604 Atheist on YouTube. If you're into the deconversion stories and other atheistic other atheistic type topics, and if you're into gaming, I do a little Yu-Gi-Oh channel under the moniker of Sayris 13th, which is Sayris, and the number 13, which was always my number when I was a kid in sports and stuff like that, because it's my favorite. And I was allowed to have any number I wanted because my dad was an umpire in the baseball league. So fuck you guys. Anyway, so there, and I can be found on Twitter at 604 Atheist. I can be found on Facebook with Neil Bernstein, his last name Bernstein. And just FYI, Lilith, my name is not spelled with an A; it's Neil. I saw your text.
I was okay. I was voice to texting like 3 things at once, so I didn't proofread.
That's okay.
You were the one who fell asleep.
She's right. It's all my fault. That's why you guys are up late. It's all my fault. But thanks for hanging out with us. That's
always cool.
It has been.
I do have to thank you for something as well, because on Mathbake Show, you shared a link to your music stuff, and there was another
SoundCloud,
there was another link as well that had all your links, so your Facebook, Twitter, that also had an Amazon wishlist.
Yes, it was.
Yes,
there is one there.
And I clicked on that just to see, and I found something that I now have, because you had it on your wish list. I like to have free stuff, so I now have this, and
I can't see. You've got us on the 3 screen in the background.
Yeah.
Ah, yes, you were showing me earlier.
I still don't know what that is.
This is how I now work my my screens.
It's a smartphone. It's a touch screen because
I can just click on everything and then switch.
You don't have the proper screen up for us to see all 3, or just that. We see all 3 in our.
Oh, I didn't put.
I've been complaining about that.
Oh wow! Look at that.
Yeah.
Why didn't you say so? I could have fixed that. So,
we can still hear you, and that's the more important.
This is free, Neil. It's just an old phone.
Yeah, it looks like the old LG Eve. Does it slide up and have a keyboard underneath it, a QWERTY board?
It is no. This is an old Samsung phone.
Okay.
And that has now the app that does my OBS, and it works great. You can make your own buttons, stuff like that.
Thinking about trying the OBS, but I have the StreamYard, but I pay for it, so I get the brand and stuff like that. But
there is a version available for StreamYard as well. I'll see. I saw it. I need to go back and see if I can find the link and shoot you the link. This works great.
Cool.
This works great. You can have your keyboard too, and I haven't done that a lot because I haven't watched the chat a lot. But what I did do earlier is just get up and get something from the kitchen while you two were talking, and I was still able to switch the screens while I was walking to the kitchen. I just don't have to watch. It works. This is an awesome tool to have. So
yeah, it looks like it is. It looks pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, and it's free. And I'm Dutch. There's
not like saying you're Scotch.
I know. So you all know the saying, "Going Dutch." So we're cheap. We want everything to be free. We actually invented copper wire.
No. I thought. See, I heard the joke is 2 Jews fighting over a penny. Being raised as a Jew. I heard all the Jewish jokes.
Probably Dutch Jews then.
Dutch Jews. There you go.
See, whereas I heard the Scottish jokes about how, a heavily pregnant Scottish lady is at the till and she gets a dollar, part of her change, $1 drops to the floor and she still bends over to pick it up. She can barely do it. And the cashier looks at her, sorry, I'm Scottish. He's like, I'm surprised it hit the floor. It's terrible. How many races have the cheap jokes, really?
Oh,
nationalities, whatever.
Yeah, I know. I used to tell them too back in the day.
Fair enough.
Being an asshole.
And I'm just curious. Are there Canadian jokes?
Yeah.
So here in Holland, it's a back and forth with Belgium. Everyone knows that people from Belgium are just not up to par with the Dutch, so they got their own country down below. And but is there something similar going on with Canadians and Americans? I do know that the obvious joke is who wants to go to Canada because no one lives there. It's
Well, we do. We live here. We just all live really close to the border.
Ah,
the rest of Canada is covered in snow.
Northern tundra part. We live where it's at livable temperatures. But actually, the joke is how little the Americans know about us.
Oh yeah, they don't know shit.
We had oh god. There's this fellow called Rick Mercer. He was sort of he did This Hour is 22 Minutes. It's a news satirical show. He was one of the ensemble cast. He went off to do his own show, but in between these, both as a periodic segment on both his show and 22 Minutes, and then as its own 1 hour special, he would do questions for Americans, and he would ask questions about Canada, like, would you like to congratulate Canada on having our first 100 miles of paved road? Or on getting electricity all across the country?
Yeah. We have phones now.
Yeah, should we preserve our parliament buildings, which are actually a giant igloo model of your Capitol buildings? And we're concerned about global warming.
Don't remind them that we burnt down their White House. All right.
Some of them are asking us to do it again now.
Mm-hmm. As long as a certain person is in there, it might not be even a bad idea, I think.
Well, we are the reason they made this one out of marble and not wood.
Mm. So, but there is a point to make when the Americans joke that there's no one in Canada, because I used to collect license plates, and so there is a state in Canada that has license plate that only has 3 numbers on it, because there's not more than 1,000 cars in the entire state province.
We don't have states left.
Province.
Sounds like Prince Edward Island.
Probably a territory. No,
yes.
Well, it could be PI.
Northern territories. They have a license plate.
Yukon. Probably the Yukon.
No, Northern territories.
Northwest Territories?
Yes, it has a license plate that is in the shape of a polar bear. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's NWT.
Yeah.
And no, Iron Charioteer is asking me if I grow weed. Apparently, I don't actually. I used to, but yeah, not anymore.
Now that it's legal,
I don't need to.
I
don't need to. I have too many friends that deal with this stuff, so I get it wherever the fuck I can, wherever I want.
Okay.
Yeah, even before league was officially, before weed was officially legal, there was sort of an unwritten rule that the cops wouldn't bother you if you only had 3 plants.
Yeah, 3 or 4.
It wasn't worth their time. It was just like, whatever, personal consumption and your one buddy, just fuck off. We don't have time for that. It's a different world.
Okay, so Neil, anything you want to get out before we close up?
Well, nothing special. I think I always try to remind people to try and be the best versions of themselves that they can be a decent human, try and be helpful to others, do what you can for your communities, both the atheist and your local communities, and let's make the world a better place. That's what I always try to inspire people to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. Great. So, it was great having you on.
Well, thanks. I really had fun.
Thanks to Lilith, who did the legwork to get you on.
To get you back on.
I'm sorry about that. I really feel bad about that.
Hey, you know what? We've got something to tease you with forever, so it's all good.
Yeah. So I was saying this to Lilith because of this whole COVID thing. Everyone's schedule and internal clock is off because you're sitting in your home. You have no clue what day it is, what time it is. It's just off, so it's not a big problem. We got you.
I still have to work.
Yeah, you still have to work?
Oh yeah, I'm part of the company that's an essential service.
Yeah, well, props to you.
Don't get sick.
Yeah.
I will find a way across on the ferry and kick your ass.
I'm not going to get sick. We get sick. No, you don't understand. I work for a company called GFL, which is Canada wide, and they're they got someone at my work that runs around the entire facility, wiping doorknobs and handles and everything all day. That's all they do. And we keep social distancing. And I work in a lab. There's nobody else in the lab. So the only time I'm not in the lab is when I'm coming out to blend a batch of antifreeze, which I ultimately end up testing in the lab. So
fair enough. Okay.
Yeah. And I keep when I'm home, the only other place I ever go is my buddy Mikey's, and they've been on lockdown for weeks, so they're clean, and so it's all good.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah, we keep forgetting that because so yesterday I talked to one of my followers, Jen. Jen with 2 N's. It's Nick's mom on Twitter.
Not Jen with 1 N.
Not Jen with 1 N.
Too many Jens.
Yeah. Well, I told her you can't have too many Jens because the ones that I know at least are reasonable people. So I haven't met a Jen that I didn't get along with. So that's fine. But she's a nurse, and those are the people who are struggling with what they need to cope with these days. So we need to keep that in mind, that there's still people sticking out their neck for everyone else and doing the work that everyone else is afraid of doing. So
actually, here in Vancouver, we've got this new custom now, and I think it's spreading elsewhere too, where it's 7:00 p.m. every day. People go outside and bang pots and pans in honor, and they also do the 9:00 gun in Stanley Park at 7 now in honor of all the people that are forced to work during this, all the essential service people and the health people and stuff like that, to honor them. So people go outside and start banging pots and pans for a couple minutes. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Before we had to close down in the town nearby, everyone went over to the hospital, stood in front of the hospital, and just applauded. And they put that up. That's
awesome.
And they put that up on social media.
See, that kind of stuff touches me pretty good because these are tough times and these are important people. So
yes,
they put themselves in the line of fire. The least we can do is say thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we're gonna close this up. Stick around, Neil, because I got a few other things that we need to talk about after we close it up. Thanks for coming on the show. I'm really looking forward.
My pleasure, man.
In May, I'm going to be on Neil's channel, so
hang on, I'll give you the exact date, guys.
Subscribe. No, don't give the exact date. Let them go look, and then they can subscribe to your channel.
They don't have access to this.
See?
What's the date?
Oh, actually, no, it's on my Discord, so I believe it.
There you go.
Actually, IQ doesn't have this information yet, so I'll have to give it to him, and he can update the Discord. Yeah.
Okay.
I only have 2 days left in May, and that's it. I'm booked right through May. Till May 16th. I haven't gone past that yet.
I'm guessing I'm lucky I got on there in January.
Yeah, but you had to wait too because I was already booked way ahead when I scheduled you.
True.
Okay.
But it was still before crazy COVID. Anyway, sorry. I keep interrupting.
If we need to throw out the date, I thought it was May 11th that I was.
It is.
Yeah. Okay. So, Lilith, thanks for all the work getting the show on the road. You did a great job, and as always,
thanks for waking me up.
Yeah, it's great to have Lilith on, except when she has this size chocolate cake and is eating that in my face, and I don't have cake. So.
Well, if we had started earlier, I could have been eating it in front of everyone, but now I just had to finish the end of it.
You're welcome, people.
I'm stuck here. I'm gonna bake a chocolate cake. Come on.
That's what chocolate cake's all about. So.
Damn it! Now I have to come over there and eat your cake.
Yeah. Is that a euphemism?
Well, I could be misconstrued.
Is
that a euphemism in Canada? I don't know. So
gonna have some of Lilith's cake.
Okay, so I want to thank everyone in the side chat for coming and for waiting. There was also a problem on my end because I had looked at the time and I had put it out that it was going to be midnight my time, when you guys are on daylight savings.
Daylight savings.
It was an hour later, so it wasn't too bad. Still, the time zones are killing me. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Daylight savings is stupid. We should be off of it, but we aren't.
But who am I talking to? Because Neil thought I was on the East Coast. So
it's true too. For some reason, I had to. For some reason, I thought you were like New York or something. I'm like, wait a minute, doesn't he live in? Oh no, that's right. He's in fucking He's across the pond. What am I thinking?
New York. How many people are in New York?
Lots, just none of us.
I think,
unfortunately, fewer and fewer every day.
I think close to 20 million. Where I live, I don't think we even have 1,000 people in the village that is close by. So it's not like New York. But
no.
Yeah, thanks everyone for coming. There's going to be a show, I think, this week with Robert and I, where we talk to Ronaldo again. I'm going to try and schedule that, so keep an eye out for that, because that's, I think, going to be worth watching. As I said, thanks Lilith, thanks Neil for coming, and see you
My
all
pleasure, man.
next time. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.